Hello everyone! I'm back today with another Let's Design, this time featuring a Leafwing Sandwing hybrid. This was another of those times where I didn't decide the tribes until fairly late in the process. I considered her being part Seawing, part Silkwing, part Rainwing, and even part Hivewing, but in the end I felt that with the colors and the vibes I was going for, Leafwing and Sandwing were the two most fitting tribes. I wanted a nature, earthy type of vibe, and her coloring is very Leafwing as well. Also, the animal who I took her facial features and name from, Gazelle, is a kind of desertish, savanna-ish animal, so that seemed to fit the theme as well. Anyways, this is Gazelle. I actually had a bit of trouble naming her because I knew from the start I wanted to use this picture of a gazelle I found as the reference for her face, and the whole time I was drawing her I just kept thinking of her as Gazelle. But then when I went to the coloring and all these really nice greens started showing up, I was like, oh, maybe I should name her Swamp instead. I don't know why that name came to me. That was just, my brain was like, ooh. It would have been a super appropriate name, considering her coloring, but in the end I decided to stick with my original idea, in part because I'd already spent so much of the drawing process thinking of her as Gazelle, and in part because it's a much prettier name than Swamp anyways. So, a couple of things about this design. It came together really easily for me. She's largely got a Leafwing body, but I did give her a Sandwing frill, and her barb is meant to be a Leafwing tail fan with a tiny barb on the end, sort of like a cobra's fan. I'm not really sure I got the idea totally across with this drawing, but that's the goal. It's not a huge barb, it's a flat fan with a tiny barb at the end. But, and I like this, the coloring on her fan reflects the shape of a normal tail barb, which I think is kind of cool. Also, her ears always flip forwards like that. That's another nod back to my original inspiration of the gazelle. Now, the coloring for this design came together really easily too, which is kind of rare for me. But once I did the face, I just kind of copied that pattern down the rest of her neck and tail, and it all kind of went from there. I used the same blobby shapes for the wings, and overall the final look is just super cool. And her wooden jewelry helps pull the whole thing together with some earthy tones to kind of ground it all. I added that one last, but I did kind of envision her having it from the beginning, so I wouldn't say that the jewelry is a last-minute add-on, just that I saved it for last to actually draw. I really like this design. I think it might be my favorite so far. I really like Chive too, but the colors and the patterns on Gazelle are just so pretty. She turned out really nice. I'd almost keep her for myself, but I know I'll never draw her, so I'll let someone who'll actually do something with her get her. And now let's talk some backstory. I had a lot of thoughts about the design itself, but with that out of the way, we can talk about Gazelle. Gazelle is 6 years old, so she is still a dragonette, but only according to her parents. She lives during a time long after the events of the third arc, and since the defeat of the Othermind and Wasp, many Pyrean dragons have crossed over to Pentala, and vice versa. Hybrids of their tribes, while rare, are not non-existent. Gazelle lives with her parents in northern Pentala, along the edges of the slowly regrowing forest and the calm savanna. Her father, Sunbeam, prefers the open space, while her mother Oak appreciates being nearer to her tribe and her forest. Although she's rather small for her age, Gazelle is an energetic dragonette, and she can always be found doing some activity or other. She likes climbing trees, hunting with her mother, chasing birds, and playing with the other dragonettes in the area. Her favorite activity, though, is making jewelry with her dad. Sunbeam grew up with beadmakers and glassblowers in Possibility before making the trip to Pentala. In the Sand Kingdom, glassmaking was a popular art given the abundance of sand and dragonfire. It's a lot harder in Pentala. But he and Gazelle found a new way to enjoy the craft together, carving wooden beads from the abundance of wood around them. They spend hours together carving these beads, protecting them with oil or paint, and turning them into long strands of wooden jewelry. Their crafts are very popular with the surrounding Leafwing population, and Gazelle loves getting to spend that time with her father. Like I said though, Gazelle has a lot of energy, and the time she spends crafting with her father is about the only time anyone can get her to sit still. And even then, she fills the time with a constant stream of chatter, telling her dad about her day, what she thought of their beadwork, who she'd seen earlier, interesting animals or insects she'd found, and anything and everything else that came to mind. Gazelle is a very chatty dragonette, and she can also be quite loud when she wants to be. a trait her mother is trying to train out of her during their hunts. Gazelle is not very good at hunting, a task that requires her to move slowly, quietly, and keep her mouth shut, not exactly her cup of tea. She tends to be a favorite of the Leafwing elders, though. Any dragonette as loud, active, and accident-prone as Gazelle is tends to be a good laugh on most days. And while she can be a handful, she's genuinely a very sweet dragonette with a good heart, so any mischief she causes is generally easily forgiven. And that'll about wrap up my backstory for Gazelle. It's a bit light, but I think she's a pretty simple dragonette at heart. Again, I so love how this design turned out. The colors are everything to me. Gazelle will be available for adoption over on DeviantArt. I'll have an auction going until noon tomorrow, so if you're interested in making her yours, you can use the link in the description to go check that out. The specific rules for the auction will be over on the post that way. And that'll be all for this Let's Design episode. The more I think about it, the more I have to say Gazelle is definitely my favorite design so far. What about y'all though? Which hybrid has been your favorite? If you enjoyed this video, I have lots of other design-themed videos, and I'll be making more in the future, so consider subscribing if you don't want to miss that. And remember to check out the links in the description, including links to my DeviantArt, Patreon, and my store. I have Wings of Fire playing cards, prints, button pins, and a ton of stickers available, so if you want to support me and snag some cool stuff at the same time, feel free to go take a look. Thank you all for watching, and have a great day.